Lynette Oxley here for Tactical TV. I'm with Paul Oxley. Sorry, Paul, don't laugh at me. I'm old. From GOSA. We have some breaking news today. Basically, two or three. Three issues.
Items. Hi guys. Hi Lynette.
Tell us first, you're going to start with the Constitutional Court?
Yeah, so late yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening, which is, remember, yesterday was the 23rd, the Constitutional Court said they would let us know on the 23rd whether or not they wanted to hear oral argument from us. So SAPS had obviously got to had to hand up papers dealing with our application for as amicus, and also dealing with the arguments. So typically what happens is they lodge an answering affidavit in which they give their basic argument. Then they follow that up to the court with heads of argument. So they tell the court, okay, this is how we're going to argue this. Blah, 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 blah. Point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. So SAPS seems to be under a bit of pressure. We don't know what they've done with the other amici, with Natshoot, with PASA, and with Sakelige, but they've come back to us with not an answering affidavit, which they should have done.
Right way
they've
to
come
do
back
it.
to us with heads of argument.
But that's
saying,
not
okay,
the right
so this is
process.
how we're going to argue this thing, which they haven't told us what they're actually going to argue yet. But this is how we're going to argue it. So you can kind of work out where they're going. I've got that right here. We only received this yesterday afternoon, late, yesterday evening even. Surprise, surprise. So in this document, which they prepared obviously only yesterday or the day before, specifically because it refers to the events of last Thursday, they walk back all of the concessions that they made, that they were forced to make in the Constitutional Court, primarily by Acting Chief Justice Zondo, where Acting Chief Justice Zondo got them on the back foot and trying to explain how they could possibly claim that you couldn't relicense expired license firearms because there's nothing in the law that prevents you. So here they've gone back to their narrative. They've reverted back to, but the law doesn't specifically allow you to do it. You know, one wonders where these people get their legal degrees from. The facts of the matter are that the way our legal system is set up, the way it works is, if something isn't specifically prohibited, it's allowed. So unless the law says you can't apply for a new license after your your existing license expired, if it doesn't prohibit you, you're allowed to do it. So this seems to have escaped the senior counsel for the state. Additionally to that, so this is very funny. So you may have seen last week there were some headlines, particularly I think in the Citizen by Bernadette Wicks, where she posed the question, or she made the statement that, in inverted commas, the police have lost 700 firearms. Those are the firearms that Fidelity handed into before their SCA case, so they couldn't be accused of not having clean hands. It's a legal technical term. Not having clean hands when they went before the court.
But Bernadette sat in throughout
she sat throughout the thing. But anyway, so during the hearing of the matter on Thursday last week, the senior counsel for the state denied this. Said, no, they haven't. They've still got those firearms. They haven't handed them in at all. So this is where Bernadette came up and said, look, obviously they're lost. We know they're not lost. We know that the police, well, we hope the police haven't sold them yet. But they've just mislaid them. I don't know. They can't find them. They don't know where they are.
Haven't told their senior
or they
counsel.
just haven't bothered to inform their senior counsel. So that was sort of maybe understandable last week Thursday. However, this is now 4 or 5 working days later, and still their senior counsel in these papers talks about. I'll read it to you. It's unbelievable. It's like they live in another dimension. all right, so they agree to our, they have no objection to us entering the case. They refer back to the SA Hunter, so obviously they got the message from Justice Tron that relying on the SA Hunters, the constitutional decision, is safe waters for them to traverse. So they back to that. The SA Hunters in every paragraph here. Okay. Such it is submitted is also the law as established by this court in paragraph 19 of the SA Hunters case and has to be complied with by the respondent. The statement by the respondent's counsel is Fidelity's counsel in the matter on Thursday, that there was a surrender of the firearms to the applicants being the SAPS, remains disputed. And this is also confirmed by the affidavits before court. Consequently, the respondent has come before this court with unclean hands, which should be frowned upon by the court. You know, guys.
So that is.
It's unfortunately, this is unfortunately a microcosm of the problem that we have with this government specifically, or generally, and this police minister in specific. Nobody has nobody is adult enough to say, oops, sorry, we made a mistake. No one is prepared to climb down off their podium. They've been he's taken instructions. He's the counsel for SAPS and for the minister. He's obviously been instructed, do it harder. You know, make the mistake harder. So they're making the mistake harder. I've had discussions with a number of parties involved in this matter since the weekend, before the weekend and since the weekend. And they've all said, well, you know, this is just a misunderstanding that will be... No, it's not a misunderstanding. This is these Muppets again confirming their incorrect understanding. These are the people that run the country, for God's sakes. We deserve better than this. We deserve better than this. Honestly, South Africans, my fellow South Africans, oh God, I sound like Ramaphosa. We deserve better. We just deserve better. So from the court perspective, okay, so they go on and they etc. and they argue against us, and they say Ghost has not done this and Ghost has not done this, and SA Hunters and SA Hunters. So SA Hunters was a bad judgment. SA Hunters was a poorly considered judgment. There was no justice involved in it. It was the order that was handed down left 450,000 people in a panic. It didn't try to suggest a solution.
Yeah.
It just made the problem worse. And this is, these same guys haven't learnt their lesson. The system has crumbled significantly since then, and they are making it worse. Guys, just stop making it worse, please. Pretty please. Anyway, so that's the feedback on the court case. So then
10:30 last night.
Well, 10:30 last night, I get a phone call. A GOSA member in the Western Cape.
Again,
we thought we had the Western Cape knocked once Colonel Dalil took his bloody retirement earlier this month and disappeared into, I don't know, to carry on running his travel business to Israel from his own home instead of from the Belleville police officers for a change. So we thought we had rid of him, but the Western Cape again. So 10:30 last night, one of our members gets a knock on the door. Bang, 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 bang. He's a dedicated sports shooter. He's involved in firearm politics. He's assisted us for many, many years. He's been prominent. He is a prominent personage in Western Cape firearms. Gets a knock on the door. 10 o'clock last night. Looks outside the door. He has a whole minibus full of policemen on his doorstep. Flying squad members and detectives. Not admin people.
Not a pleasant thing to wake up to.
They want to inspect his firearms. he phones me, he says to me, Paul, what do I do? I said to him, well, you can't chase them away. They have a right to inspect your firearms at any time. That's part of the FCA. However, they're supposed to do that in good order, is the terminology used. Which means you have to make a bloody appointment, like a civilized human being.
Not during the dead of night.
Okay, anyway, but what do? You've got 7 policemen, heavily armed policemen on your doorstep at 10 o'clock at night. What do? And they're becoming quite aggravated by the fact that he's first phoning and he's getting legal advice and etc. before he opens the door for them. They come in, they start interrogating him. They say to him, why do you have so many firearms?
Got nothing to do with them.
Well, it has got to do with them. They gave him the licenses.
Yeah, it's all legal firearms.
He says, so there's 5 of the firearms that's licenses were due for renewal, and 90 days before their expiry date, he duly renewed, or he applied for renewal.
As a law requires.
However, as we know, firearm license renewals are not being processed at the moment. Or they're not being processed very speedily. So the firearms are still, he has the receipts from the SAPS finance office proving that he has applied for renewal. The bully boys at his door say to him, that's not enough. I don't know what is enough. They say to him, that's not enough. They're going to confiscate the firearms. He says to them, can I at least accompany you to the police station and we can book them into the 13 store?
You know what happens to the guns.
And 2 o'clock last night he gets back from the police station, and we start this morning, and we start having a conversation. It's great being old because you don't sleep much at night in any case. So anyway, so the story goes, and you think that that's the worst. That's not the worst. That's the tip of the iceberg, the very tip. So apparently, so the DFO, obviously his DFO, is also not answering her phone last night. So she knows there's trouble because she had to have supplied the information to the police. She knows there's trouble.
The order must come from somewhere.
The order comes from somewhere. So I was saying we were hoping against hope that with Van Lille departing to greener pastures, that things would get better in the Western Cape. It doesn't look like that's going to happen, guys and girls. So anyway, so the situation is, so this morning, so this is this morning. So a couple of hours later this morning,
they basically said they can't take this. It was the DFO wrong.
They say the DFO screwed it up because you can't. You have to put the license or the serial numbers of the firearms on the finance office receipt.
It never
That's
happens.
not a function that's available to the system. It doesn't appear on the receipts. The receipt says license or renewal of firearm license. That's it. You know how that's tied up is the police can do that, but
they've got all of the information and all of the firearms. So
these cops can't, or they won't, or they didn't. So they wanted it anyway. So you had to surrender those 5 firearms. So we get in touch with them today. This morning, first thing, we say to them, okay, the DFO, moment she gets to work at about 9 o'clock, she says, oops, no, sorry, everything's in order, there's no problem, he must come get his firearms back. Not so easy. If only things were logical and simple. Not so easy at all. According to the police, SAPS, in an episode of blinding efficiency, something we've never known them for, has already sent the firearms in for ballistic testing. So it might be 3 or 4 years before he gets his firearms back. That there was nothing wrong with. That the police screwed up. Guys.
So people say just leave this alone, but this is setting a precedent. If it happens once, it's going to happen twice, and it's going to go to the other provinces.
The bad news is that as the police members that were attended to his premise last night told him, we've still got 4 or 5 calls to make tonight.
So
they are doing midnight knocks and confiscating people's firearms on a false basis. This is theft. This is theft under false or incorrect pretenses. The South African police services have long ago ceased serving the public of South Africa. The South African police services are fast becoming our enemies. Guys, let this sink in. These guys are not our friends. Handling them with kid gloves is just making them worse.
It's not going to go away. If they've done it to maybe 5 people last night, they're going to do it, and if it happens in one province, it's going to happen in other provinces. It can happen to you, it can happen to me, it can happen to any people
Lynette, what do we learn in school? In kindergarten even. One of the first things you learn, don't pander to bullies. If you pander to bullies, you're going to carry on being bullied.
Yeah. It's not going to go away.
Not taking the police on about this is pandering to bullying.
Yes.
We are not going to pander to bullying. Unfortunately, in this particular case, the member has decided that he's not prepared to antagonize the police. And I understand that. I don't agree with it, and I've expressed that to him. But guys, the more we back down on things like this, the more it's going to happen. There's a little book. So I used to be a management consultant in a past life. Yeah, I know. You know, when you can't teach, when you can't teach, you become a management consultant. So a little book that I used to give out to all my executive management groups.
Yeah. You get more what you reward of.
Was a little thing, a little book called "The Greatest Management Principle in the World." You get more of what you reward. If you reward good work, you get more good work. If you reward bad work, you get more bad work.
Yeah.
That's how the world works.
Because everybody should be worried. If it's happened to one person, it can happen to anybody. What if that firearm is your only firearm?
It can happen to all of us.
That's your self-defense firearm, and then you sit 2-3 years later, you've been dispossessed unlawfully
You've been disarmed.
Armed.
You know, it's. These are by the people who are supposed to be responsible. These are by the people who don't know where Fidelity's 700 firearms are, who still claim that the firearms are with Fidelity.
Something that they could have checked quite easily.
These guys are the worst people, the worst people to be in charge of administering the system. Sorry guys, it's not good news, it's bad news. We haven't heard back from the Constitutional Court yet on Thursday's case. I don't know when we're going to hear back. I suspect that we will not be asked to give oral argument, and Urji's also cross, as you can hear. Sorry, the dog show carries on. Mm-hmm. Was there anything else, Lynette?
There was the third thing, as I think you've just heard from the Police Portfolio Committee.
We've just heard back from the Police Portfolio Committee. The Firearms Control Amendment Bill
He's so funny.
will not be heard anytime soon. Not just in this Parliament at the moment, but possibly for a long time. They've decided to prioritise other matters.
Okay. So what does that mean?
So, guys, don't worry about this bloody amendment bill over Christmas.
It would have been
It's
better
not going to happen.
to have it sorted out or totally pulled away, but
it would have been better if they had torn it to pieces, but they didn't. The facts of the matter are we can probably have a good Christmas, although we've got a whole bunch of things, other things which we're busy fighting. The thing that happened to our member last night is not the only guy. He's the tip of the iceberg. There are a bunch of other people that have been hit by that gang of armed robbers last night in police uniforms, and this will be continuing. It seems that
until we say no more.
It seems that it seems that us crushing the police minister's webinar the week before last week the absolute fiasco at the Constitutional Court, which is ongoing as we've seen. The police are striking back. The empire strikes back. They don't like being made to look like absolute idiots, although they're the ones that make themselves look like absolute idiots. They don't like it. They don't like the fact that we're laughing at them. They don't like the fact that we're criticizing them. They don't like this, what we're doing right now.
No.
So we should also. I mean, we've been personally we've been the target of their opprobrium before. We may very well be again.
It was not nice.
It wasn't very nice at all. We may be again. I'm pretty sure we will be. at some stage. But we can't stop fighting. We have to fight this, guys. Yeah. We have to carry on fighting. Sorry, that's my message for today.
Anyway, thank you guys. We'll see you again on Friday. We'll see if there's anything else has changed.
Hopefully we'll hear some more about the Constitutional Court matter by Friday. But we'll certainly carry on plugging on the other things.
If there's any ladies interested in the introduction to handguns, we still have space on Fridays for the 16 days of action, but we've got an introduction of handguns at Wildman in Centurion. So please, if you still have time and would like to join us, contact Hannes at events@gosa.co.za or on GOSA's main telephone lines. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon and speak to you on Friday. Cheers.
See you again.